Hi everyone, you're welcome to the channel. So in this video, I'm going to teach you how to connect a distribution board or a load center or consumer unit, whatever you call it. So this is a three-phase distribution board. I'm going to connect it as single phase. So I want you to watch carefully. So at the end of this video, you should be able to connect any distribution board of your choice. You can connect it as single phase or three phases. So let's go. So this distribution board was installed by a technician, and he's not here now. So there are pipes that are extruded from in the distribution board or from the distribution board. So I would love to put it in order first because I always work in a clean environment. You know, I always advise my electricians or technicians to always remove the chest of the distribution board or the parts and the accessories of the distribution board before installing, you know, so that cable thieves or metal thieves will not come and remove and cut away with everything. So there's a video on my channel that I did analyze a building where cable thieves struck and they remove all the cables. You can watch it. So there's also a video on this channel that I gave a clear description and teaching on how to install distribution board. Okay, so if you want to know how to install the distribution board, it is right there. So the raw part of the distribution board installation, which is the raw part, is there on this channel. So you can watch it. So this is the part of the connection. This part teaches how to connect the distribution board. So I'm going to connect this 18-way three-phase distribution board as single phase. Okay, so you have to watch carefully. So let's make the distribution board neat. I want to make the distribution board very neat because I always love to work in a very neat environment. So I'm going to cut off all these long pipes here. I'm going to cut off all the pipes and make it very neat. You can see exactly what I'm doing. So I love to place, work with my safety glasses because these cables can poke you in the eye. There's a friend of mine that was poked in the eye and he lost one of his eyes because of these cables everywhere. Okay, so you have to work in a neat environment and also cut off your cables. Use your safety glasses to protect your eyes so that you don't accidentally get a poke in the eye by some of these cables. Okay, so let me make the distribution board neat. I love to make the distribution board neat. Okay, so you can see that there's no accessory that is installed with the distribution board. It's just the cover alone. That's what we do here in this part of the country where I come from. We only install the base of the distribution board, which is this metal you see here. We don't install it with the cover because if you install it with the cover, they will come and they will disappear with everything. But without that cover, it will be very difficult for them to sell or use elsewhere because you cannot install distribution board for a client and it does not have cover. Okay, so that is why we remove the cover, we remove the chest. They call it chest here in quote. We remove the chest and we remove all the circuit breakers from the distribution board. So I'm going to prepare my distribution board, make it very neat, and then I'll place my circuit breakers. Okay, so before that I have to install the chest first. The chest, that's what I call it here. We call it the chest. You can try to call it whatever you like. So there are three types of cable here, or three colors of cable here. We have the green cable, which is the earth. We have the black, which is the neutral, and we have the red, which is the live cable. Okay, so the generator cable is also here. The cable from the national grid is also here, which is from your generator, from your NEPA, is also here. So we are going to use the changeover to switch between the generator and the national grid, which is the NEPA. Okay, so I'm placing pipes here at the bottom. I'm preparing my distribution board so that it will be very, very neat. So I'm placing pipes at the bottom so that I can, place my wires there through that pipe. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, I'm going to place the chest, this metal, case, whatever you call it, this chest. That's what I call it in quote. So I'm going to place my chest of the distribution board. I'm going to place your chest of the chest of the distribution board here. I'm going to place it here. So I'm going to screw it cleanly in a neat manner so that I'll begin to place my circuit breakers. Okay, so you can see that is the spot for placing circuit breakers. You can see the main switch there. That main switch is the master switch. It controls everything in the distribution board. So what's the function of the distribution board? The distribution board is just like a bus that accepts all input connection from the house. So if you are working on any installation, all the cables must go to the distribution board. Okay, that's why it's called distribution or consumer unit. It is from this distribution board that all the cable goes to their respective position. The socket, the switches, the lighting points are all connected in this distribution board. So if you connect power here, it will work. So it will work. Now look at it. This is the neutral position. This is the neutral position of the distribution board. This is the neutral position. You can see it here, that black cable here. It is the neutral position, and this neutral position here accepts all the neutral cable, which is the black cable. Take note, be very careful if you are connecting this distribution board there is a little mistake that was made here. This is an A and B Tech distribution board. It's a very quality distribution board. You know, I always work with A and B Tech. I was not paid to do any advert for A and B Tech. It's because I always work with A and B Tech materials, and I've found out that over the years that they have been very good, reliable, and durable materials. So that's why I always recommend A and B Tech to any electrician. So if you're a beginner, work with A and B Tech. So you can see now this is the cable here. This is the neutral part. It's not touching the base, the body. You can see it's not touching the body, but this other part here, which is the earth, is touching the body because it's always grounded. Okay, so the earth part is, but they made a mistake here. I don't know if it's A and B Tech or the people that assembled the distribution board that made a mistake. They labeled the neutral part as earth, while they label the earth as neutral. So that is a little mistake. That's why you need to understand what you are doing. You should know what you are doing before you do any connection. Just understand what you are doing so that little mistake like this can be corrected. So if you do not correct it, this can be very catastrophic in nature if you do not understand what you are doing. If you don't connect, if you connect all the neutral cable to that level, every appliance in the house will receive electric shock. Yeah, you begin to receive electric shock from every appliance in that house. Okay, so that is why you have to be very conscious of the connection. Now what they did, they removed the neutral label and they placed it in the earth, the part where it's earth. How do you know it's earth? If it is touching the body of the distribution board, if it is touching the body, it is earth. Okay, but the neutral does not touch the body. You can see the neutral, it is protected by, it is isolated from the body by a small plastic material. Okay, so that's the black. I'm connecting the black now. I'm going to place the circuit breakers. So when I finish with the circuit breakers, then I'll go further to do more connections. So these are the circuit breakers here. I'm placing the circuit breakers. So take note, the red cables, all the red cables go to the circuit breakers. Okay, all red cables to the circuit breakers, the neutral to the neutral, while the earth, which is the green, to the earth terminal. Simple. Then you connect one output here, which is left and neutral, connect it to your generator and it will work. Okay, it's just like if you connect all these cables together and plug it to electricity, there will be light in the house to work. So but I'm just trying to make it neat. Connect the neutral to neutral, left to left. Okay, so these are the red cables here. I'm going to connect these cables to the circuit breakers. Okay, cable to the circuit breakers. There are 15 amp circuit breakers. If you are connecting switches and sockets, if you are connecting sockets and maybe water heater, another high power electronics, you can connect it to the 20 amps, 30 amps, or 50 amp session. Okay, if you are connecting low, which is if you are connecting the lighting points, you can connect it to the 5 amps or the 10 amps. It depends on the lighting points you have there. Okay, so that is it. That's what we are doing right here. We are connecting the red cables to the switch, to the circuit breakers. Okay, we are connecting the red cables to the circuit breakers. Okay, so I have done the connection. I've connected the black, and I'm going to connect this part. Now this is the main purpose of this video, how to connect 3 phase as single phase. Okay, you can see the way I'm doing it here. I'm going to connect the 3 phases together. Okay, I'm going to loop this cable and loop the, but you can see the bottom of this main switch here. I'm connecting it as single phase. That's how to connect a 3 phase distribution board as single phase. So you have to connect all the 3 phases or the 3 lines to one cable. Okay, how to connect the 3 phase distribution board as single phase. This is exactly what I'm doing here. So if you had wanted to connect it as 3 phases, you connect 3 separate cables out, then the neutral, that's 3 phase. But if you are connecting as single phase, you loop the distribution board. Okay, we are looping the distribution board. We are not connecting as 3 phase because the area where we're doing this work here, there's always the light is not constant here there. So that's why we're connecting as single phase. We are connecting the 3 phase distribution board as single phase. So take note, I'm looping the main switch. You can see the main switch here. This is the main switch, the central control. I'm looping it, connecting it as one. Okay, so I've connected the neutral. Take note, I connected the live to live, which is the circuit breaker, and I'm connecting this cable. So this cable here is the neutral. You can see it here. I'm using it as red. It ought to be black, but I could not get a black cable. That's why I'm connecting it with a red cable. I'm using a red cable to connect the neutral part. Okay, so you can see these 2 cables here. These 2 cables here are the load cables. Okay, the 2 cables that are coming from the distribution board are the load cable. The other cables here, this cable is the generator, while the other one is the incoming cable from the national grid. But these 2 cables here is the load. If you connect these 2 cables now to your generator, it will work. Okay, so that is it. That is how to connect a distribution board. You understand what I'm trying to say now? You understand every part of this connection now. I just hope you understand. Connection, I connect it together. Okay, so that's the 3 phases. I loop the 3 phases as one. That's how to connect the 3 phase distribution board as one. So if you connect these 2 cables here, you see these 2 cables, these 2 red cables here, ought to be red and black. If you connect it to your power source now, you will receive light. So we are going to use a changeover to switch between the generator, that's the generator cable. If I connect this generator cable now to this output cable, it will work. You understand? There will be light in the house, but I want to use a changeover to connect it. Okay, I want to use a changeover to do the connection so that when I switch to NEPA, it will go to NEPA. If I switch to Gen, it will go to Gen. If I switch to NEPA, which is national grid, it will work with national grid. If I also switch to generator, so that is it. Same principle apply to connecting the distribution board in 3 phases, 2 and 1 phase. You understand? Even if it's an 8-way or 6-way distribution board, the same principle or the same step apply to all the connections. Okay, so that is so I'm going to use a changeover. I'm going to place my changeover directly under the distribution board here, or the consumer unit. I'm going to place my changeover directly under. You can place it at any position on the left or right side, but I prefer to place my changeover here. I prefer to place my changeover directly under the distribution board. So that is how I do my connection. I always place it directly under so that it will be reachable. So even if there's any short person in the house, I just hope the landlord of this house is not listening. So if there's any short person, they will be able to access it. Okay, so I use my plumb, my spirit level to ensure. I always use my spirit level. I love neat works. Okay, so that's it. So I make sure my work is very neat. So that is one duty of a professional technician. Okay, so it must be very neat, eye-catching and beautiful. That's what I do. So I'm going to connect I'm going to install my changeover switch. That is a nerve switch, and it's an A and B Tech nerve switch. You may be wondering why I always use A and B Tech materials. Because A and B Tech, they have quality materials. They are good for starters. So if you are a novice, you are a beginner, always use A and B Tech materials, because you cannot get. It's very difficult to get. You can never get fake materials from A and B Tech. They are very good quality products. You see the distribution board. One of the functions of a distribution board is to switch off if there's a fault in the apartment. If there's a fault in one section, it will trip off. 90% of most fake distribution board you see out there never trips off. Your house will be raised down. You see. There will be fire. Fire will engulf your building. You burn all your cables. The distribution board will not trip off, even if there's a short circuit. But with A and B Tech, if there's a fault, it will automatically trip off. So take note, if you are in my country or you're in other countries, and you are working with you are a beginner or you are an expert, please always use A and B Tech material. I use A and B Tech for switches, sockets, distribution board, nerve switches and others, changeover and others. They have quality products. There are other good products, but I just recommend A and B Tech so that you would not fall into problems. Okay, so I also ensure that my changeover is very well placed. Okay, my changeover is very well placed, and I'm going to do the connection. The top of the changeover is the national grid or NEPA, while the bottom down that terminal there is for generator. So when I switch down, up is for NEPA, down is for generator. Okay, the middle is just neutral. So how do I connect it? That is the cable coming from NEPA. I'll connect it to the top of the distribution board. That generator cable, you see that generator cable, I'll connect it to the bottom. You can see the earth here, the earth terminal. This, you can see they labeled it as neutral. That was the mistake they made. You see this neutral here, that's not supposed to be neutral, that's earth. You can see, how do you know it's air? Because it is touching. Okay, it's touching the body. You can see this other part is not touching. You see it, see that neutral part is not touching the body of this distribution board. Can you see it there? It's not touching. They made a mistake. So that is it. So the load goes to the side of the changeover. I see neutral. This is not supposed to be neutral, it's supposed to be earth, because this terminal is touching the body. You understand what I'm trying to say? So that was a little mistake they made. And see, this part is the neutral because this is not touching the body, it's isolated from the body of the distribution board. That's why you need to understand what you are doing. Just know whatever you are doing, understand how you are doing it, so that you will not fall into problems. So I have connected the distribution board, and I hope you have been able to learn how to connect the distribution board. So that is this distribution board here. I ensure that it's very neat. I use POP cement to cover it. I do not want any case of I don't want any rodent or rat to enter into my distribution board. If they get access into this distribution board, they will destroy the cable, they will eat up all your cables. So that is why I had to use a POP cement to cover the distribution board. Then the painters and the POP workers will finish the rest. You understand? So it is very neat. So ensure to do a very neat job. In this video, I hope I've been able to teach you how to connect the distribution board. If you want to watch other videos, my solar installation videos, my how to install profile lights, how to draw designs, draw shapes with profile lights, it is it is, if you want to understand how to install profile lights, it is right there on this channel. Okay, so if you have not clicked the subscribe button at this time, please click the subscribe button and follow the channel. I love you. Peace out. Click the notification button also. I love you so much. Peace out.